What is up, YouTube? I am Cosmic Fro, and today I am back with another Mortal Kombat 1 video for you guys on the channel. Now, today it's going to be a different video. I'm going to be talking about the meta of Mortal Kombat 1 and how cameos fit into it, what we could see going into Year 2, and just the different changes I would like to see. Now, currently the meta of Mortal Kombat 1 revolves around cooldown, right? The more cooldown you have, the better a cameo is going to be. And that's across the board. It also depends on how much the cameo costs, what the properties, what that cameo does for you, if it's a summon, an ambush, how long it takes before that recharge rate starts in the cameo. There's a lot of factors into making a cameo good. And so we're going to look at each and every single one of them and break down, how they could be stronger, or, if they're a little bit too strong, how they might be brought into the ranks while still staying strong. We want every cameo in the game to be strong, and I think there's just a few that, really play the game well. So we're going to try and just go over all of the different cameos and bring them up to that level that we would like to see in a cameo-based world. Now, obviously, with Year 2, they could go the other direction, right? They could make characters more powerful and, tone down the cameos by just giving, base character buffs. But we'll just have to see. For now, it seems like with the Cyrax change, a lot of people are really enjoying how Cyrax was brought back. So, I think they might go the direction of bringing more cameos in. So let's just go over every single cameo and talk about their strengths, their weaknesses, and what could be added or introduced for each of them. Now, we're going to start with Kano, as Kano, I believe, is sort of the day one cameo. He was in the beta and has been strong since day one. They adjusted him from the beta, giving his knives less juggle potential, which I'll talk about in a bit. But he is a very strong cameo in Mortal Kombat 1. I think when we're looking at how the game wants to be played, Kano plays it very well. He's got two ambush cameos, one of them being this ball roll, which costs half of a bar. And if you hold that, it'll charge it, and you can do whatever pressure you want into it, right? So very strong to just have this option for Kano. It'll also cover your unsafe move. So say, Kenshi blocks Sub-Zero's overhead, which is extremely punishable on block. You can call out Kano Ball and cover it. So that's very, very good, as it is also a mid. You can see it's a mid. So very good. One of Kano's best, his best cameo move is the ball roll for sure. Now, his second cameo move is the knife toss. It's a full screen projectile that you can just throw out there. Really good for, combo conversions too. If you wanted to combo into the knives, you could. And, pretty decent startup, two projectiles, high projectiles, and you're able to incorporate that with other zoning, So just overall, pretty good ambush move. And then his last move is going to be this laser move here, which is interesting. I don't think you're really going to see a lot of use for this laser. It is a mid. Now, when you hit the laser, it does pretty decent damage. It's not terrible. You get 10%. And the cooldown rate on it starts immediately if it does land on hit. So it's not bad in that regard, but on block, it's extremely punishable. And so you're not going to see a lot of use for it there. But let's say you get knocked down. So you see how I get the frames into the eye laser? Those are invincible frames. Now, it doesn't last long enough for it to... The invincible frames don't last long enough for that to be a real thing you'd want to do on Wake Up, right? You just can't do it. You're always going to do the armored move out of Wake Up. You're never going to do the invincible move off Knockdown because just you don't have enough iframes, invincible frames, with that move. So if we were to change something about Kano, I would say, people are asking for a lot of defensive options in Mortal Kombat 1, and I think this would be a good get-off-of-me tool if we just had more invincibility frames. Now, obviously, on block, extremely punishable, right? So if they guess, it's just like armor. It completely negates it. But in the case of invincibility, it'll get you out of situations where you have, Liu Kang doing forward 3, right? Or two hitting moves that break armor. Now, disclaimer, if you're using one of these invincible cameo moves on Wake Up, I think that should take the whole cameo bar. So you can't, if they block it, your cooldown's maybe delayed a little bit, something like that. I think for every Wake Up invincible move that exists like this in the game, if it comes to Year 2 where they increase the invincibility frames like a up 3 from Mortal Kombat 11, I think you need to make it so that it's the entire cameo gauge to do so because it is so strong. So yeah, if you have the entire cameo gauge and you're able to do it, I think having this option, a just nice get-off-me tool that you can't combo from, is a viable tool to have. So as long as you have the full Kameo gauge, you're able to do that, right? And I think that would be a nice change. Now, Sonya is a Kameo I really enjoy. Sonya is probably one of my, top 3 favorite Kameos in the game to use, just because she can play that lane game. And we'll talk about all her moves, but starting with the most important one, obviously, is this Ring Blast. And this is a summon move. You can't move while summoning the ring, but you can see the cooldown on it is extremely nice. Just starts, and by the time she's off screen, it's almost all the way, it's almost halfway all the way back, right? So you can just keep shooting this projectile. And it's really, really good. Another really good thing about Sonya's ring is that you're able to charge it and then release it. So in the case of Sub-Zero, let's say you get a knockdown, and then you're playing neutral, you call Sonya ring, and you can combo into this charged Sonya ring with the right setups. So it's really nice to, just have this pressure option from Sonya at all times, able to let it go whenever you want, play neutral. Again, it comes back extremely fast, even on charge. So when you're using Sonya in tandem with really good neutral moves, it's very, very fun, very, accessible for everybody to use. You just press one button and you hold it and you let go, It's a mid projectile. They're not able to, they can armor through it. They're able to block it. That's about it, right? Flawless block it or jump it. There's a lot of options to deal with jump. You got up block. In the case of sub, you have clone. So really good Kameo option for sub and Sonya. And that's why I enjoy using it, because I love playing Sub-Zero in this game. So ring, really, really good cooldown. One of the best Kameo moves in the game. Her other moves, Square Wave. So Square Wave, she flies up in the air and she's able to combo. Obviously, you can't combo from the ground. You can do an uppercut into Square Wave, right? You can combo things where it puts the opponent airborne, right? And you're able to combo into Square Wave, which is really, really nice. But you can see the cooldown on it. She's off screen already, and it takes a full second and a half to start that cooldown. I do like the rate of its cooldown. Maybe it could be increased just a tad, but you're never going to use Square Wave, because what happens with the Kameo system is if you use a short cooldown after using a long cooldown Kameo, it takes a long time for your cooldown to come back, because it registers it as the long one, if that makes sense. You'd think, oh, maybe I'll be able to get my fast cooldown back if I, do it again, but no, you don't. It's going to stay that way. So using Square Wave isn't really beneficial. I think they need to maybe look at the values of, how you consider, maybe split that Kameo bar in actual 2, code it to where, it counts as half a bar. And if you do replenish half a bar, the next Kameo you use will, count towards that Kameo's cooldown, and that'll be much better for the economy for Kameos. But as it stands right now, what I would like to see, if the system stays in place, just a shorter cooldown, maybe shorter startup on that cooldown for Square Wave, and just making it a little bit better. Her last move is going to be her leg grab, which not bad, pretty good mid move. Throws him back. You can combo into it off certain things and switch sides, but you're never going to use that move. It's just not worth it. Now, it's the same thing with Kano Laser, where on Wake Up there might be a defensive option. The same goes for leg grab. It has a little bit of invincibility frames. It's not enough, though. You're never going to use that over using armor. So I would like to see the invincibility frames of leg grab increase, so that we have options. So we have, more options on Wake Up. I think it's valid to bring these defensive options into the game, and leg grab's just another one of those I would like to see have more invincibility frames added. Now, Sektor's been a topic of discussion for a lot of people. Pretty strong. Just being able to call a ambush missile attack. You can call it at any time to just be a threat on the screen for them. That's pretty good. But we can see, the cooldown on that missile. Look how long it takes to start, right? Let's count. So once the Sektor's off screen, 1, 2, 3, 4. So almost 5 seconds. Probably 3 seconds before that cooldown even starts. I would like to see that, reduced to 1 second, right? Just being able to replenish that missile as soon as possible. Also, if you double tap that button, it'll track. Now, if you're using a whole bar to use a missile that tracks, I don't really think the cooldown that is currently in place for that represents the strength of the move. So I think we need to speed up that cooldown if we do use both. If we do double tap RB and we get the ambush tracking missile, I think it should be sped up for the cooldown for sure. Now, Sektor also has Rocket Punch, which is, you know, a decent... I would like to see the startup of Rocket Punch increase a little bit, so we have more combo potential, you know. Like with Sub-Zero, let's say I do 2 back 2s and then that, right? I would like to see Rocket Punch connect there. Just make it a little bit quicker so that we have more combo potential with Sektor if we are using, you know, half the bar to do it. Obviously, this is really good any point of the screen, but, you know, it is punishable by some characters. So you got to watch out when you're using Rocket Punch to just check them. And then last but not least, Sektor has the Flame move here. Now, if they're in a combo and you do Flames, it'll restand them, which is really, really good. On block, Flames, they push back and they're +3, which is pretty decent, but it pushes them back. The thing about Flames that, you know, kind of isn't that great is that the startup for Flames on some combos just is a little bit too slow. I would like to see the Flames come out instantly. Like, you see how it takes a second for him to slide on screen and then use it? I would like to see the Flames come out, you know, even sooner than that. You know, if you were to make the Flames an ambush move, that would be insane. You know, if Sektor had an ambush flame move that restood, that would be ridiculous, right? But I don't think they're going to go that direction. I think they should just make the startup a little bit quicker. And when it's on block, right, because the cooldown on the Flames take a while, I don't think there should be a gap in between that. You can actually armor through the 2 flame attacks there. I don't think that should be the case. I think you should be able to, you know, enforce this and get your plus frames with Sektor going. So another thing with Sektor is that his flames have invincibility on wake up, just like that. So, you know, if I were to wake up, it's got invincibility. Not enough though, you know. It's just like Sonya and Kano, where there aren't enough frames for you to be able to enforce that on wake up. And, you know, your return on investment for landing the invincible moves in this game, you know, it's not really that beneficial for you because all of them knock down. So those are the changes I would like to see for Sektor. Now, Frost. I really like Frost in this game, guys. I think Frost is a pretty decent cameo, but has just sort of fallen under the radar when you compare it to the likes of Khameleon and Cyrax and just a lot of the better cameos in the game with ambush options and faster cooldowns. And so Frost, you know, while her moves are strong, it's just they're reactable and they're all summon, and you just can't get a lot of things going with Frost. This is a good low to sort of just throw out there sometimes, but super reactable, right? I'm pretty sure that's a 24 frame startup, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Yeah, 26 frame startup on that low, which is extremely reactable. So if they were to buff the ice carpet right here in particular, I would like to see this, you know, the startup sped up just a bit, you know, go to 22 frames, right? Make it a little bit quicker on startup for, you know, summonable, comboable low. I think that's respectable considering what else we're going to give her. So talking about her other moves, she has a, you know, an orb startup here, which is really good. But again, the startup takes, you know, a full second, right? It takes a full second, some change to even get this this orb on the screen to get your pressure with. So, you know, a lot of the time, is it worth it? Could be. You know, you're able to enforce pressure with the orb on screen. It is a really strong move. You don't want to make it unblockable. You want to make it blockable. You don't want to speed it up too much because then you might get some extremely potent setups. But I think just bringing it down to, say, 60 or 50 instead of 68, you know, just making it a little bit faster so you can get the orb out just a tad. I think that might be something for the balance team to, you know, sort of figure out. You know, orb is still very strong and is for sure, orb isn't necessarily her bread and butter, but it definitely, you know, it allows for certain things to be safe on block. Just maybe speed up the cooldown, right? If you use orb, right, you can see the cooldown on it. You know, she's off screen and the cooldown, well, look at that. Look how slow that cooldown is. So I think speeding up the cooldown after using orb, you know, would be a viable change for Frost here. Another change I would like to see personally to Frost is a change to her Ice Crash, which is just her RB. Now this is also a summon move that you can't really do much with, right? You can do this, but you're not getting a combo off of it because it's a summon. So I think what you want to do with Ice Crash is you want to turn this move right here into an ambush rather than a summon. You know, you do this and you cover it with Ice Crash, a nice mid, you know, that if they are airborne, keeps them in the air, you know. And then you're able to combo from that. I think that would be a, you know, viable change for Ice Crash and Frost's pressure in general. Another move Frost has is if you hold RB, instead of doing Ice Crash by tapping it, if you hold RB, you got this move, and that's a nice long summonable move that does a pretty decent chip. Now, what I personally would like to see is a situation where if you use Ice Crash, then after you use Ice Crash, you can then hold the Kameo button to get more. So she does Ice Crash, and then she can continue to do her barrage afterwards. Again, I don't think that would be too strong because you see the cooldown for Ice Crash. It starts immediately pretty quick after you use it. Now, if you were to use this move instead of Ice Crash, it would take longer for the cooldown to start because you're using Ice Crash, and then you're using this after Ice Crash to, you know, delay its cooldown a bit, right? So maybe before the cooldown starts, after she's off screen, it takes, you know, an extra second for it to start. So now, if you still want to use this as a summon option, I say keep it in the game for those people to use. Yeah, you know, it's a really strong option, and I personally would like to see that. So yeah, that's gonna do it for the changes on Frost. Now Jax, I think Jax is a pretty solid Kameo that's in a pretty... Now Jax, I think Jax is a Kameo that could go south very quickly if balanced in the wrong way. Very good combo extender with the backbreaker here. You know, if we take Kenshi off, we can combo into that with Sub-Zero. In different ways, right? You can just use backbreaker for certain characters. So I think backbreaker is fine how it is. You got a close and far version for backbreaker. You got the close version. You got the far version. Travels a little bit further. I think that's fine. Now, a move you don't really see often is the, you know, the square wave, or the punch. It's -3 on block with pushback, which is really, really good. You can use that, and then, you know, but it is a summon move, and you can't really get out quick. It's just a nice get off of me tool. Again, with this move, it also has invincibility frames on Wake Up. You know, we want to increase all those invincibility frames across the board, I think. So, yeah, I think that would be nice if Jax had that option as well. And then with the ground pound here, you know, whiffs on block, Jax stays on screen. If it hits, he goes off screen. I don't think backbreaker needs a cooldown. I don't think ground pound needs a cooldown. I think Jax is in a pretty decent spot. All right, Khameleon. We're going to talk about Khameleon for a second here. You know, obviously there's 3 different versions of Khameleon. You can switch between all of them at will. Now, if you use the ambush moves, the cooldown's really, really nice for each of them. If you do an ambush move and then you hold the button, you can switch Khameleon, which is really nice. Now, there's still a bug with Khameleon where if you use Jade Glow, it will cause the sound to stay on screen and just be annoying for long periods of time. There's probably other bugs they have yet to figure out. I think Katana Toss, with the way your character gets hit and you're able to just use Katana Toss to get out of being punished, that needs to go. So for Katana's fan lifts in particular, we need to think about why we're getting hit and getting punishes for getting hit, right? That's not something that should be in the game. Everything else about Katana is fine. Melina, her overhead. On block, that overhead shouldn't have as much pushback as it does. So if we do the overhead on block, you see it has a lot of pushback. That shouldn't be the case. A lot of people can't punish -17 from here. Jade Glaive, I think, is fine. The only thing about Jade Glaive is that sometimes it doesn't come back. I think it's bugged. So that needs to be looked at. Everything else about Khameleon, I say, is pretty decent. The cooldowns are really nice. And as long as we're bringing other cameos up to match it, I think Khameleon is a decent pick for every character. You just can't have the Katana shenanigans. And, you know, for the ambush side, if we're doing an ambush, maybe bring it down to like a second, right? Maybe a second before it starts again instead of starting instantly, right? For every single cameo. I think that'd be a nice change and keep Khameleon strong in the game. Now Stryker. Stryker is a character that I think a lot of people were having a lot of trouble with. What they did to him, though, doesn't make sense. So he has this grenade ambush move, which is really good. It's what Stryker's sort of known for, the infamous mid-grenade. Really, really good. You know, you're able to, at the start of the game, you know, use pressure into, you know, ignorant setups. But you can see the cooldown on grenade now takes so long to replenish that going for grenade just, you know, just isn't. It's not as good as it used to be. You know, you don't have access to the cameo as much as you used to. You want to bring that cooldown up from where it is a little bit. Bring it back to where it was, just a tad. You know, it doesn't have to be as fast as it was before, but you want to bring that cooldown back and keep it how it was. You know, there were some niche situations where you could low profile those grenades, or you could tap, you could say in the case of Sub-Zero, right, there was counterplay where you could poke and then do a slide to get out of the grenades that would be over here when your slide brought you over here, right? So there was counterplay to these Stryker grenades that a lot of people just weren't exploring, and at the casual level they just couldn't deal with. But I think we need to bring that back in line. If we're bringing all the cameos up, we need to bring Stryker back to a state where he's able to actually use grenades and be available. So yeah, this where it is right now just isn't acceptable. He also has the low baton and the overhead baton. I don't think you need to change anything here. You can keep them both summons. Again, in the case of defensive cameos on Wake Up, Stryker is another one of those with the baton. Invincibility frames, just increase those invincibility frames, and we will be A-okay. I think that's going to be a nice meta change if they go into year 2, thinking about the defensive options and what we can have from our cameo. Yeah, Stryker, another one with invincibility. And then handcuffs. So handcuffs is a high. I think if you were to hit handcuffs from full screen, I think you should be able to start moving sooner if you do hit handcuffs, so that you're able to actually enforce pressure off of handcuffs. Obviously, it's just a restand move that you're able to use, but I think being able to move sooner would be the way to go. Obviously, the opponent, in turn, is going to have the opportunity to block sooner, but I think just being able to get pressure from any point on the screen after landing handcuffs, it would be a nice change for Stryker. So yeah, just bringing Stryker back up into the meta would be something I would like to see, and I think those changes would help that. Now Scorpion can do a lot of cool stuff. He's got really good combo ability. If you're pressing regular cameo or down cameo for the distance, or up cameo for the far version, in the middle of a combo, you have different distances that you're able to combo with Scorpion. And the cooldown on this isn't necessarily the worst. I think we could speed that up just a little bit so that it's more available. I think the startup on it could start sooner, like say Khameleon, where it starts immediately. So I think if we're using Scorpion like this. Now next we have Scorpion's overhead. I think the overhead's okay, but I think we need to speed it up. I think the cooldown on it's fine. Its usability is it's extremely useful for certain situations where you just want to mix up the opponent. But I think we just need to speed it up, bringing it in line with, say, Sub-Zero's overhead, which is a 24-frame overhead. I think you make this 24 frames as well, so that you're able to just make your mix-ups a little bit more potent when you're going for the overhead on Scorpion. Just a nice quality of life buff for the overhead on Scorpion. That's all I would really like to see there. And then we have the Spear, which is going to pull him back full screen. We see the cooldown on Spear is really generous and is already a really good move. I don't think Spear needs to change up. I think, on Wake Up, that's fine. You're still able to get out and have the armor. So yeah, I think Spear is it's good where it's at. I think we just need to look at the cooldown on other things and maybe the startup on the overhead for Scorpion. And Scorpion's going to be in a really good spot. Now, Sub-Zero cameo. I think Sub-Zero cameo is one of the better cameos in the game. I think there isn't much that needs to be done. Obviously, if you just tap RB, you get the ambush ice armor, negates all projectiles. This is just really good at all times. You see, once it ends, we have about a quarter of that half cameo gauge built up already, and then you can obviously use it again, and the cooldown's building. You have another ice armor after that, and you're just able to negate projectiles overall while enforcing your own zoning game, or just trying to get in on the opponent while you have ice armor up. Just one of the best cameo moves in the game. In general right there. I don't think they need to change anything about ice armor. What I do think needs to change is his forward cameo, the forward RB. I think the startup on his forward cameo is a little bit too slow. It comes out, if you're doing a combo, let's say you do triple, and then you do this. The cameo, it takes too long to come out before you can get the combo for forward Sub-Zero. So I think if we speed up the forward cameo on Sub-Zero, make it a 15 frame startup or something so you get the freeze guaranteed, right? I think that would help the usability of the cameo in combos and just help the creativity of the game overall. So another Sub-Zero move that he has is Cold Shoulder, and this is going to cost half your cameo gauge. The cooldown starts immediately after Sub-Zero leaves screen, and it's a pretty decent cooldown there. You see it moves up pretty quick. Now Cold Shoulder, you're not really going to have a lot of use for it. It's just a mid that pushes them back and is a nice check, I suppose. But it costs half your cameo gauge, and what you're going to want to save that cameo gauge for is doing the ice armor. Now, recently they added Ice Armor into Cold Shoulder, but it uses your whole Kameo gauge. So if you do, you know, say Sub-Zero's overhead on block, you do Ice Armor into Cold Shoulder, you're able to keep it safe, which is nice. You know, that's a nice change. Not much use for using Cold Shoulder other than its potential on Wake Up. So, you know, it's another one of those moves where, you know, on Wake Up, it has invincibility. So increasing that invincibility would be really nice while keeping all the other properties. That's all I would really like to see for Sub-Zero. I think the cooldowns are fine where they're at. You could maybe speed up the startup time for his Ice Armor, make it so that the cooldown starts a little bit sooner while keeping the slower recharge rate. I think that's fine, but overall, you know, that's all I would really add for Sub-Zero. Now, Kung Lao Kameo. I think Kung Lao Kameo is in a really, really decent spot. Obviously, we have the spin. I think just like Sub-Zero with his ice, right, his freeze, I think the startup of this, you know, we should increase the startup, or the decrease the startup, so that it's faster and we just get the combo off of it, you know, more frequently with more combos, just more creativity. Give Kung Lao spin back, just make it so that it's usable. Obviously, low hat, one of Kung Lao's strongest moves. Keep it how it is. I think being able to jump and block the hat is a good change. Just keep that how it is. And then teleport. I think teleport's in a good spot too. You know, if you hold it, you can combo. So I think you keep teleport the way it is. The cooldown's really nice. Spin, the Kung Lao spin on Wake Up is another one where it is invincible. So, you know, increasing the invincibility on it so that we do get the knock off for it would be for the best. So yeah, that's all I would really like to see for Kung Lao. I think Kung Lao is one of the best cameos in the game, in one of the best spots he could be. So, you know, just improving, you know, the startup on that and making it so that his invincibility on Wake Up is viable come year 2 of Mortal Kombat 1. Yeah, we have Shujinko on screen. Shujinko's fine. I don't think we need to change anything about Shujinko. Some of the strongest counters in the game come with Shujinko. You know, you can use Sento with Shujinko. You can use Quan Chi's Bone Cage and get really easy combos with Shujinko. I think Shujinko, you can use Reiko's Command Grab on anybody with Shujinko. So I think Shujinko is really, really fun and viable cameo considering the matchup. So I think the more you experiment with Shujinko, the more you're going to find. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, if you wanted to use the forward fist on Wake Up, right, on knockdown for invincibility, you know, that would be something, you know, we could potentially do. Now, Motaro. Motaro is really cool in this game. I really do enjoy him. Really good move. It's just going to be this forward low projectile that is, I believe, plus 15 on block, plus 13, something like that. Really, really good move to just throw out there and enforce pressure. With, you see the cooldown on that is similar to Sonya, where the recharge rate is just ridiculous, right? It just starts a little bit later than, you know, Sonya's instant, but really, really good to just throw out there. He also has this shield move, which you can hold and he'll move across the screen. Now, the one downside to this move is that if he gets hit while he's doing it, he disappears for, you know, a good second. So I think if we do use this shield move on Motaro, if he does get hit, then him recharging should start quicker. If he was using this move and got hit, I think the recharge on him should maybe start a little bit sooner. Teleport, his teleport's fine. You're able to do really cool stuff with his teleport. I think the cooldown is okay. You could maybe speed that up a little. No, I think it's okay. Again, Motaro, just like the rest, right? Invincibility move. So increasing that and making it, you know, more punishable if they block it. Something like that come year 2. All right, Goro. So Goro is really fun. He has this this move that's going to make your move safe on block. It's just the up punch. The one thing about this move that I don't really like is the cooldown. So you see Goro leaves the screen and it takes forever to start. And then the cooldown's extremely slow. This is one of Goro's best moves, but it is a high. And the cooldown just takes such a long time. So I would honestly, personally, I would speed up that cooldown just a tad, you know. I don't think it needs to be sped up to the likes of Sonya or, you know, even Kano with his ambush moves. I think you could just speed it up just a tad so that, you know, you can use it a little bit more frequent, and that would be just fine, right? I think that would be fine considering what we're doing to all the other cameos in the game. Now, he also has this low grab, which if they're blocking low, he's going to grab them, and then you can get a combo from it. I think it's a 28 frame startup. I think you make that 24. Just bring it down a little bit so that it's harder to react to. And when you're throwing it out there, you know, you can mix it up. Also, on this move, I think once Goro leaves the screen just like that, I think the cooldown needs to be sped up a lot, because this move, you know, it doesn't really do much for you other than just, you know, it has a little nice grab mix-up that is pokeable, right? So I think, you know, you just speed it up, make it 24 frames, and, you know, that'd be really, really nice to have. His punch walk. So punch walk, you know, it's a high. As you can see, Kenshi's just ducking and punch walk isn't hitting. So for punch walk, since it is a summon move and it pushes them back, I think you just make punch walk a nice mid move so that, you know, you're able to just push them back. And you can see the cooldown on it is, you know, it's pretty nice. Once Goro leaves the screen, you know, it starts up. And, you know, I think that would just be a nice change for Goro, just making punch walk a mid that you can use whenever you want. And of course, on Wake Up, that punch walk is invincible. So, you know, if you have the entire Kameo gauge, then you can use it. Now for Tremor, you know, obviously there's a lot of moves you could do for him. I think you just decrease the startup on maybe his rolling rock or his overhead rock, you know. Make it so that he's able to use some of these other moves more viably, you know. You understand you switch Kameo and then you can use the different moves, right? If you want to switch to Crystalline, you can switch to Crystalline and then it takes the entire Kameo bar to do the rest. Now if you're doing this and you're using the entire Kameo bar to do it, I think the cooldown needs to be sped up a lot, right? Just speed up the cooldown for Tremor. If he hits his body out and he gets hit, you know, speed that cooldown up as well. Make him a nice defensive Kameo for projectiles as well. Just buff everything about that, right? Just make Tremor a viable Kameo cooldown wise. Now Movado, I don't think they really need to change much about Movado. I think Movado's in a pretty good spot. All I would really do is buff it so that, you know, his health goes up by 50 points. I don't think it's necessary for him to have minus 100 health. It doesn't really make sense. I think minus 50 health is fine for Movado. They have to be in the air for you to even juggle this, right? So using his juggles, even though the cooldown's really nice, they have to be in the air. So you're not getting any like ambush pressure with Movado. All you really get on the ground is this grenade, which is a mid, and then you get this plus on block high. So I think we leave Movado as he is, but you just make it so that he has, you know, plus 50 health, and that will be just fine. Now Janet, I also think Janet is in a really good spot. She incorporates a lot of cool things with throw combos on certain characters and just giving damage overall. Her stance is some of the coolest. It gives everybody Sento. So if you have stance, let's say I put Sub-Zero in the corner, and yes, I have, you know, played around with this. All right, somewhere in the corner, we land a hit. We set up Janet off the freeze. Into Ice Clone. Boom. Recharge Janet. Jump, safe jump. Again. All right, freeze. Recharge Janet. Safe jump. Bro. You know, you get really, really cool stuff just from using Janet. You know, and you can cover your unsafe moves with her. Janet is just really, really cool. You're able to do like make unsafe stuff safe, and you know, overall just do really cool stance combos with her. So one of the coolest cameos in the game. I wouldn't change a thing about her. You know, yeah, she's just really strong and up to par with how cameos, you know, should be in this game. Now Darrius. Darrius is really cool. I really enjoy this cameo, and I think Darrius is in a good spot. The only thing I would really change about him are his cooldowns. So let's say you do the, you know, you get a knockdown and you can do Darrius from behind. It's down RB to do that. You see the cooldown takes a while to start. I think we bring that up. We bring it so that we make that cooldown start a little bit sooner, like a lot sooner, maybe like instantly. You know, once Darrius leaves the screen, that cooldown just starts, right? So I think that'd be a nice change for Darrius. Aside from that, he has this, you know, for his overhead, and then once he leaves the screen again, you know, it's a little bit quicker than the ambush version, but I think since, you know, it takes a long startup to even do this. Once he leaves the screen, I think you just start that cooldown for him. Now this right here, costing the full bar while he stays on screen, that's fine. Just make it like Movado, where like, yeah, the cooldown, it starts just like that. You know, just a little bit sooner. So yeah, I think Darrius, you know, you have this option to go into mid-high with the kick, right? On pushback, on block. You can make your unsafe move safe with this and maybe get a cool combo from it, you know, with the kick. But you know, you're never really going to use this unless you're trying to make your stuff safe. Otherwise, with Sub-Zero and Darrius in particular, you're just going to go for the, you know, the 50-50 mix. You're going to get a slide right after a combo instead of Darrius, and then, you know, you do your low overhead into your clone. You know, Darrius just has a lot of good 50-50 mix with some characters like Sub-Zero and Raiden, and I wouldn't change too much about him but his cooldowns. Make his cooldowns a little bit quicker. Another move he has is this sort of back cameo move, which is just a nice get off me tool here. Yeah, I wouldn't really change much about that. The cooldown looks nice. It is one of those invincible moves on wake up. So, you know, if Kenshi were to, sweep me on the ground, it would be invincible. Make that the full bar, and yeah, we'll be just fine with more invincibility frames. Now Sarena's got a nice cooldown here on the instant projectiles, just a high, right? You just check them. Obviously, she has the comboable version, which I think is really nice. And then she has this portal, which drains the meter, and you can see that meter goes down really quickly. The only buff I would really do for Sareena is make it so that as she's starting to leave the screen, make that cooldown a little faster, and make it so that when she's draining the meter, it drains a lot more. Like, it's a lot more risky to be in that portal. It drains just a lot of bar. So, yeah, that's really the only change I would like to see to Sareena. Obviously, she has her demon flip as well. She's also an invincible wake up. So, yeah, I think just making that, just like the rest, right? For invincibility in Season 2, just buff that up, and yeah, Sareena's going to be in a good spot. And last but not least, we have Cyrax. So Cyrax, we all know Cyrax. You get the up copter, you get the forward advancing copter now for half a bar, which is really nice. And then once he leaves the screen, we see the cooldown. It takes a good second to start, which, considering the strength of the move, is, I think, okay. So, you're doing pressure, you do your forward advancing copter, you can continue pressure. And that's the name of the game with Cyrax. You also have these bomb setups that you can use on knockdowns. So let's say you get a freeze with Sub-Zero and you do the bomb. You get little bomb setups there. And you get really potent bomb setups with some characters in the corner, with say Sindel, and just a lot of characters get really cool bomb setups with Cyrax. I don't really think much needs to change about Cyrax. Cyrax, really good cameo, in a good spot. I think we just keep him where he is, and if he needs a buff in year 2, then we'll see what happens. And yeah, that's going to do it for my year 2 wish list of Mortal Kombat 1. I think that's fine, considering a lot of cameos are underpowered at the moment. I think a lot of buffs are needed for the meta to continue. We saw Cyrax come back, and that was really nice because that added a lot of variety. So bringing Kano's strength back, a lot of these characters' strength back into the meta, and adding new things, like the suggested invincibility I bring up in the video, might be a nice change. Now, of course, obviously, Movado, I didn't cover it, but he has that flawless block move, right? Maybe we could see a flawless block change too, and I wouldn't be opposed to that either. There's just a lot of system changes I think they could do with the cameo system, and I would really enjoy to see them explore that on top of base roster character changes. Buff Sub-Zero. That's going to do it for the video, guys. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be back with another video soon. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out.